Imagine a country where people don't work as many hours, aren't super productive at their jobs, and kids spend less time in school compared to nearby nations. It might not sound like a plan for success, right? Surprisingly, this country is Germany, a big player in Europe's industry and the second biggest exporter globally. Yup, you heard that right. But why is the German economy so powerful? The German economic miracle. Germany's rise to becoming a global economic power, often termed the German economic miracle or Wirtschaftswunder, had its roots after World War II, when a significant portion of the country lay in ruins due to Allied forces' attacks and bombings that severely damaged its infrastructure. Dresden, for instance, was entirely destroyed, and the population of Cologne dropped from 750,000 to 32,000 during that time. In essence, Germany found itself in a state of ruin, facing a remarkably bleak future. However, by 1989, when the Berlin Wall fell and Germany reunified, it had become the envy of much of the world. By that point, Germany boasted the world's third largest economy, trailing only behind Japan and the United States in terms of gross domestic product, or GDP. The transformation from a war-ravaged state to an economic powerhouse led many to proclaim Germany's rebirth as an economic miracle. Now, the question remains, how did Germany achieve such a remarkable feat? Germany after the war. It is evident that the figures paint a picture of a nation in disarray. Industrial output took a hit, dropping by a third, while the housing stock was reduced by 20%. Food production slumped to half its pre-war levels. The demographic group crucial for the physical rebuilding of the countrymen aged 18 to 35 faced significant losses, with many either killed or disabled. During the war, Hitler enforced food rations, limiting civilians to 2,000 calories per day. Post-war, the Allies continued rationing, reducing the daily intake to a range of 1,000 to 1,500 calories. Price controls on various goods and services resulted in shortages and a thriving black market. The German currency, the Reichsmark, became nearly worthless, pushing the population towards bartering for goods and services. Occupied by four nations, Germany soon split into halves. The eastern part evolved into a socialist state, part of the Iron Curtain heavily influenced by Soviet policies. The western half embraced democracy. Caught in the middle, Berlin was divided into two, ultimately separated by the infamous Berlin Wall. But surprisingly, Germany's economy stands as the sole force preventing the Eurozone from slipping into recession, making it the only nation financially capable of rescuing the euro. It is noteworthy that among the 34 members of the OECD, only the Dutch work fewer hours. Additionally, German children spend 25% less time in school compared to their Italian peers. Despite these factors and the existence of 6 more productive economies in Europe alone, Germany's economic prowess remains truly remarkable. But how, you ask? Euro bliss. Germany has definitely gained a lot from using the euro. By teaming up with slower economies in southern Europe, Germany ended up with a less strong currency than it would have had with the Deutschmark. Since Germany is one of the few countries running a surplus in its balance of payments, the Deutschmark would have been much stronger than the euro. This has really helped German exports because they become more affordable for people in other countries. But this isn't the only reason Germany is economically strong right now. Another big factor is that Germans have kept their private debt at relatively low levels. While the rest of Europe was borrowing a lot during the 1990s and 2000s, German companies and individuals didn't spend more than they could afford. David Cole, deputy chief economist at Julius Baer Bank in Frankfurt, says one reason for this is that real interest rates in Germany stayed steady, unlike in other European countries. In places like the UK, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, higher inflation meant that real interest rates went down. This created a big incentive for people to borrow money, he explains. Further, it's not just about numbers, it's also about culture. Germans, it turns out, aren't big fans of borrowing money. They prefer to live within their means. In German, the word for borrowing is Schulden, which is the same word for guilt. So, there's this attitude that if you have to borrow, there's something wrong with you, according to Mr. Cole. This cultural and financial approach has really helped Germany, especially in recent years. Unlike other European countries, German consumers and businesses didn't have to cut spending drastically to reduce their debt when banks stopped lending during the recession. Germany's current economic dominance in Europe has deep-rooted reasons, including the relatively fewer hours spent at work and in school. Labor reform. In 2003, Germany launched a significant labor market reform effort, triggered by excessive post-unification wage increases. The Social Democratic government, benefiting from robust employment protection laws and a trusting relationship with well-capitalized companies that avoided excessive borrowing, worked closely with labor unions to advocate for wage moderation. These reforms established the groundwork for a stable and flexible labor market. While unemployment surged in Europe and the US during the global economic downturn, Germany's jobless numbers remained remarkably stable. German workers were willing to work fewer hours, confident that it would help them retain their jobs. This willingness was reinforced by the strong bond between workers and employers, a connection more robust compared to many other countries. There is a culture of business owners acknowledging and rewarding the efforts of the workforce, says Andreas Wargoetter, head of country studies at the OECD's Economies Department. No wonder then that Germany's work fewer hours than most. Moving on, job skill. Germany's industrial strength owes much to its education system, which is unique in several ways. School typically ends at lunchtime in many parts of Germany, a practice attributed to a societal preference, allowing children more time with their families. However, it is in the later years of schooling that the German model truly stands out. According to Mr. Wargoetter, half of all upper secondary school students are engaged in vocational training, with half of these practicing in apprenticeships. Apprentices aged 15 to 16 spend more time in the workplace receiving on-the-job training than in school. After 3 to 4 years, they are almost guaranteed a full-time job. In Germany, there is less stigma attached to vocational training in technical colleges compared to many other countries. Mr. Wargoetter notes that these paths are not considered dead ends. In some countries, company management often comes from those who attend business schools, but in Germany, ambition and talent can lead individuals to the top of even the largest companies. The German education system therefore serves as a pipeline of highly skilled workers tailored to the specific needs of the country's well-established and powerful manufacturing base. This base is deeply rooted and stable, small-scale family businesses that have long been the backbone of the German economy. Well, how do you think your education and work experiences shape your country's economic landscape? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the insights. If you want more engaging content like this, make sure to subscribe, and we will catch you in the next video. Until then, stay curious.